Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to Spirit Speakeasy. I'm Giovanni, Joyful Medium. I'm a working psychic medium, energy healer, and spiritual gifts mentor. This podcast is like a seat at the table in a secret club, but with mediums, mystics, and the spiritual luminaries of our time. So come behind the velvet ropes with me and see inside my world as I chat insider style with profoundly gifted souls. We go deep, share juicy stories, laugh a lot, and it wouldn't be a speakeasy without great insider secrets and tips. You might even learn that you have some gifts of your own. So step inside the Spirit Speakeasy. Hey, beautiful soul, welcome back or welcome in for another episode of Spirit Speakeasy. Today we are going to talk about 5 hacks to attract inspiration now. Unblock intuitive flow in minutes. I've noticed that whether it's clients or friends or people I'm talking to, it seems like a lot of people are just feeling really stuck or blocked or uninspired, or like things really aren't moving forward for them in the way that they wanted. Now, if you've been with me for any length of time, whether, if you listen to a couple episodes or been with me since the beginning, I really believe in free will. So it's important to talk about this aspect of our world. We live in a world that is chaotic. It is a world of duality, right? Dark and light, good and bad, right and wrong. There's so much duality in this world, but there's also this element of chaos that we live in all the time. Not everything happens for a reason. Sometimes things just happen out of the chaos, right? It is attached to people's free will choices that we have no control over. And there are all these elements going on all around us all the time that we have no control over. And often that leaves us feeling stuck or blocked, or like our inspiration or our intuition is just not flowing forward. So that is why I want to talk about this today. We have this free will contribution that we need to make as part of moving ourselves forward, but it's really hard to feel like we can make that action sometimes when we're just not feeling inspired of like what that action might be, that next step, that place to look, right? The direction of any kind. I do want to just quickly mention, I don't think spirit is going to quote unquote do it for us, right? I don't feel like magical answers are going to drop out of the sky to make us never feel uncomfortable, never have, hard things happen. We go through challenges as part of our life, and it grows us and strengthens us. But we do have free will in everything we do. Well, how we react to the things that rise up for us, maybe is a better way to say it. So there are ways that you can take action or do something, a hack in this case, to shake it up to where you are able to have that inspiration flowing so that you can receive the inspiration through your intuition and then have even like a breadcrumb of an idea of a next step. And there are some ways to do that. So that is what we're going to talk about today. That's what I wanted to share with you. These are all my own personal hacks too. So I'm really excited to share these 5 hacks to attract inspiration. Now, these tricks are great for anything from if you're feeling uninspired about, a project you're working on personally or for your work, or even around the house, like house projects. If you're feeling like you're lacking inspiration on your next steps in life, or even if you're lacking inspiration on something as simple as like what to make for dinner, these 5 tricks are going to help you in some really cool ways. We already talked a little bit about how, sometimes things just happen in our lives and our own intuition and free will. But I also want to talk a little bit about better understanding ourselves now so that we can make the choices, that free will that we were talking about, right? And to receive the inspiration, intuition that's going to help us get in the flow. Often when people are feeling blocked or stuck, it indicates that there's an emotion that hasn't been processed or that needs to come to our awareness to process, to move through, to understand, to heal, to grow, any of those words, and sometimes all of those words. So while I touched on this a little bit already, while we're not going to get some magical answer from the sky, we can keep doing our own processing, and we can realize that our intuition is not about giving us a magical solution, but about helping us better understand ourselves in the now so we can make those choices, so we can co-create our life with the universe or with our higher power, depending on what you believe or what word you like in there. So understanding our own emotions can really help as a part of this. I encourage everyone to continue to do your emotional processing, whether that looks like journaling or finding a great therapist or reading books or some combination of all of those things and more, whatever works for you. But shoving down emotions that are rising up is most of the time gonna derail that inspiration or intuition. So it's something to just note that if you're feeling stuck, and you're trying these hacks, it is really good to just keep a pulse on that emotion. Are there emotions rising up for you? And remember, things like resistance or frustration, those are emotions too. It doesn't always have to be happy, sad, one of those polarizing emotions. Angry, it doesn't have to necessarily be those. It can even just be annoyed or resistant or sometimes through doing these hacks, you can recognize an element of something that you feel frustrated about or unsatisfied by that you maybe didn't identify before. And that can also help things moving forward. So the emotional work is always going to be a part of this for us if we're really wanting to grow and move forward. Another piece to know before we jump into these 5 is that imagination and creativity are so intertwined in the way that our human system works. They work together in unison. So if you picture like watch gears or like some old-fashioned steampunk style gears in the inside of a giant machine, you can imagine inspiration pouring through and turning the gears of the imagination and creativity. So inspiration comes in, those gears start moving, but they have to work together to help that flow. And really, if those wheels are freely churning, inspiration can flow freely right in. If they're not, it will feel stuck or blocked. And I'm sure we all know that feeling of like trying to think really hard and we can't think of an idea, right? Because we're trying, almost like trying too hard, and we end up feeling blocked or stuck and no ideas or inspiration are coming in. Like I'm trying so hard to think of an idea or to think of an inspiration, almost like it's constipated, like not flowing. Trying harder just doesn't help. We need to shift the energy to a different direction to move the wheels of that imagination and creativity, plus that emotional processing that we were just talking about. So these hacks will help to get those wheels churning, letting that inspiration pour in. There are endless ways to do this. So don't feel like these 5 are the only 5. I'm sure that once your inspiration and intuition and creativity and imagination get churning, you'll be able to think of lots more that might work for you or that you want to try. If you do think of your own, make a note of them. You can definitely share them with all of us, or if you have some hacks to get your inspiration and intuition churning, please drop them in the comments or email them to me. I'd love to share them with everybody. There are lots of tricks that we can come up with personally, and sometimes one trick will work for me for a while and then it just won't do it anymore and I'll have to find something else, or I'll again go back to that emotional processing. So what are these 5 tricks to attract inspiration? We're going to get into them right now. Trick number 1, I call it climb the feelings ladder. This idea is based on the teaching of Abraham Hicks. If you don't know who they are an amazing duo. It is a woman named Esther who channels a consciousness known as Abraham, It is amazing, resonant, channeled information, and they largely teach about law of attraction and how to use law of attraction. But I've been following them for many, many years, even before I actually believed in any of this work. Something about Esther Hicks, her work just resonated with me, and I knew that this energy was just was touching a place in me that made me feel like it was valid. So if you're interested in checking them out, they are on YouTube and lots of places. But I've been following them for a really long time. And one thing that they teach is that the primary emotion you're feeling, if it's lonely or sad or uninspired, that we need to take control. And control is probably not the right word, but we get to take authority in our space and find a better feeling emotion. So essentially, it's finding an emotion that feels better than the one you're in. So, for example, if you are lacking inspiration and you're feeling kind of lonely, when you remember we were talking about seeing what's there emotionally, and you identify, oh, you know what, I'm feeling kind of lonely, they would want you to move to a feeling that feels better than lonely. So maybe you can move to a peaceful or grateful. Maybe you can find something around you to be grateful for or even appreciative of. If you can appreciate a flower or a person or something that you have that you can behold, for example, those emotions are higher on that emotional scale or emotional ladder than the emotion of loneliness or sadness. And I don't mean higher in a judgmental way. I mean it in a vibrational way. So the more dense, slower, heavier emotions, loneliness, sadness, anger, those are all those lower rungs, but something that's, more higher vibrationally, is of course what we're going for, inspiration. So if you can appreciate and find appreciation, that's a little higher than like a feeling of sadness or loneliness. It's not a complete jump, right? Because it's incredibly hard to move from loneliness to overjoyed, for example. That emotion feels like, oh my gosh, how do I move from here to there? But if you can move one step at a time, and a great way to move out of a lower vibrational emotion or a heavier emotion is through this channel of like appreciation, gratitude. It's a way to move up that ladder a little bit. So shifting your awareness to a better feeling emotion helps you shift your energy so that you're available to receive guidance, because you have to be a match for that energy to receive it. And that includes inspiration, guidance that you're seeking. And if you're not, if you're in those difficult emotions, rather, often we're just not available for that inspiration to come in. Almost like we're vibrating at a slower or lower rate, and that inspiration that we're wanting is high vibrational. And it's almost like it just misses us, or we are not connecting with it, I guess is one way to say it. So you can really, the emotions that are higher on the emotional scale are going to get you closer to being in that zone, to be a match, to receive that inspiration, that intuition. And you don't have to, again, make that whole jump to like joyous, excited right away. But just think of baby stepping from the emotion where you are to something that feels better, that feels, even if you can't identify what higher vibrational feels like, just feels better. Something that feels a little better on the emotional scale, because really what you're doing is shifting your entire vibration. We often talk here about the chakras and the crown chakra, and you're shifting the whole vibration of your energetic field so that you are a better match for that high vibrational guidance, inspiration. It's sometimes why when we are in a negative train of thought, it's almost like we can keep going down that train. We can keep noticing more negative things because we're at that level, and our energy is more of a match to notice those things. If we can shift our vibration higher or allow ourselves to notice, like I was saying, something to be grateful for, something to appreciate, we can move up that ladder and be more of a match to attract and receive that guidance, that inspiration that we are often so desperately seeking, especially when we're in the heavier emotions. So find a better feeling emotion. That is trick number one, climbing that emotional ladder. Sorry, I'm dry today. Trick number two, get the notion of motion. I tried to come up with some creative little names for these. Trick number 2. So you may know Isaac Newton's first law of motion teaches us that an object at rest stays at rest and an object in motion stays in motion. And for our purposes, we can apply this understanding to moving the energy, our own energy, towards inspiration. One little caveat I want to put in here is don't overdo it for yourself, right? Like if you're feeling uninspired or down because there's something going on in your physical health, for example, well, take the rest you need, get well. That's not what this means. So make sure you're honoring your own health and wellness as a part of this always. But being in motion creates more motion, making you receptive to more motion, more energy, more information. Sometimes we need to start moving our physical energy, which is our physical body. Since physical energy is more dense, it's said that, in physics, things that vibrate much slower are more dense physical matter. Things that vibrate much quicker are things that we can't see. If you think about spinning something really quickly, the faster it moves, often it becomes like we can't quite see it the same, or we can't quite see details. We are subject to the laws of physics because we're in this physical reality. So one of the ways to start churning our energy field is to move our physical body. And as we move our physical body, we're also churning and moving the energy field around you, the auric field. If you didn't check out that Aura 101 episode, make sure you go back and find that one. Because that really helps you understand what our auric field is and how it communicates information all the time. So to churn that energy, moving our physical body can be really helpful. So another little side note of this one is rule number 1, start where you are. So if you're rested and healthy and all of that's good, start where you are. Meaning, if you're not a marathon runner, it doesn't mean go run a marathon. It means start where you are, baby steps, right? Remember, this can look like taking a walk outside even. It doesn't have to be, like I said, a marathon. You can just go outside and walk around your block to move your physical body, for example. If you don't have a block, if you're not in that type of a situation, you could walk up and down some steps gently or move your body however you can that is in alignment with your physical health. So you could even do something like getting out a yoga mat. Or you could do some gentle stretches, while you're watching a movie, even moving that physical energy. If you're not mobile, it can look like you just even sitting in place and doing some like arm exercises, for example, or moving your awareness around the room. It can look, if you're feeling more energetic, like turning on some music and either dancing, or if you can't quite get there on the emotional ladder, you could even start where you are again and just sway to some music, or even be like doing some dishes and having some music and letting it kind of wash over you as you're just moving your hands and cleaning some dishes. Start where you are. So just let yourself feel the music and even look like taking a break and just getting out and running some errands or shifting tasks. So if you're focused on, maybe you've been doing dishes all day and you're exhausted of that, switch tasks. If you feel your energy or your vibration starting to go a little bit lower, one thing I do want to add in here is resist the urge to call someone else to complain. That is not helpful. It's just going to push you more in the direction on the ladder of difficult emotions or heavy emotions, heavy vibration, because that person's probably going to be validating the complaints. And it's not that that's not okay. Sometimes it is, if that's what you need to do, but that's not the tool that's going to get your energy flowing so that you can receive inspiration. So if you're trying to do this objective, resist the urge to phone a friend to complain. It's just not going to be helpful. So because energy and motion stays in motion, get that body moving so you can move the energy around you. And as you churn your energy, you might even notice emotions coming up into your mind as you're moving your energy. For me, this is one that's worked for me kind of forever. I can just go out for a quick walk and process energetically. I don't even have to be thinking about anything, but as I'm walking and moving, sometimes inspiration will come in right then. Sometimes I'll be aware of an emotion going on or clarity about a situation, but it really is, I'm not like pining over it in my mind. I'm just kind of putting it to the side or letting it be not the primary thing I'm doing and moving my energy. And I use it in all kinds of ways. I use it if I'm feeling stuck for inspiration. I use it if I'm, to be quite honest, if I'm mad, I will go for a walk, because moving the energy in that way, it helps that energy of anger kind of move through my body. And then I have more space to work on what the other emotions are in the situation. So this one is kind of a twofer, because it can also help you with number one, with moving up that emotional ladder. And it can free up more energy by moving your physical body. It should feel good to you, though. I don't want it to be torturous. That's not gonna make it better. It doesn't have to be like, I'm not someone who likes running at all, so I wouldn't choose running, but I can choose walking because that feels good. So it will be moving. It's not, if you're someone who doesn't like any physical activity at all, it's moving of some kind, even if it's dancing around or swaying or but just changing the energy that you're doing. So if you, like I said, if you already were cleaning or doing something and you're feeling stuck, just change and do a different type of task. And if possible, let it be something that feels enjoyable to you. Trick number 3, behold beauty. So we all know that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what you take in is completely up to you. There are no rules around this one, like none at all. So I don't just mean look at something beautiful. I mean really be fully present in that moment and take it in with your whole self, your emotions, your breath, your sensing. Take in something beautiful. Maybe you have time to go check out a museum and see some beautiful works of art. Go as deep into the experience as possible. Get the smell of the air. Let the feel of, hot air from the heaters as you pass room to room if it's chilly where you are. We're really wanting to soak in the whole experience, the beauty of the art, the strokes of the brush, if that's part of your experience, uh, the size and details of the frame, the way they're carefully hung, the craftsmanship of the museum itself. Maybe it's a beautiful museum. The magnitude of all the souls that have ever walked through here and laid eyes on this painting or anywhere the painting's been before this. And you can even let yourself imagine the journey that this painting has taken, for example. Maybe you can just use that creativity and let your mind wander to, how did this painting even get to this country if it's from a different country? How did it get to this museum? How did they transport it? And see if you can let your mind imagine tracing it all the way back to when it was in the artist's hand, for example. Because remember, inspiration and intuition and creativity, imagination are all tied together. So it can really help. Now, if you can't get to a museum or you don't have one close or you just don't have time for that, maybe you could just step outside and see something beautiful in nature right outside your door. Whether it's a bird or if it's really autumn where you are and or even wintertime, if you're listening to a replay of this, watching some beautiful rippling hills of snow if it's winter. Maybe there's a flower budding if you're hearing this in the spring right outside, and you can easily take a look at that flower bud on the tree and really, again, really observing it, really being fully present in the moment, enjoying that beautiful creation, thinking about how it attaches. If you're looking at like the spring bud, for example, how it attaches to the delicate branch, and imagine the nutrients flowing and what the flow of that's like. And it really just letting yourself immerse yourself in that experience of that beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be a natural thing. We were talking about paintings just a minute ago, but natural things are really beautiful and really easy to appreciate. So that's a good go-to. Like I said, if you can't get to a museum, the important thing is that you're really letting yourself be fully present in the moment, enjoying that beautiful creation, whatever it is, and really use multiple senses to experience it, to get that experience. As many as you can. You can even like test yourself and see how many senses, how many of your 5 senses you can include in the experience, plus imagination, of course. And scent, smell, is the strongest memory evoker. So if you can get the smell of a place, or maybe like if it's a painting, for example, or a bud you're looking at on a tree, see if you can even get the memory of a smell of a rose, for example, or the smell of like the oil paints. I could think of the smell of turpentine. When you paint with oil paints, you use the special chemical to clean the brushes. So really just letting yourself get as deep into this sensory experience as you can. The time I'm recording this, it is fall in Southern California. We have, I guess there are places you can go where it's more autumn-ish, but where I am downtown, kind of near the water, it's crisp, but it's not like where I'm from in Boston. And it's one of my favorite things about the greater New England area is the foliage, right? It's famous there. And when I was a kid growing up there, I remember there was this one beautiful tree outside actually kind of looked like it was growing out of the concrete out front of the place that we lived. And I think it was a maple tree, and the leaves would just change so beautifully. And I would really, through the years that I lived there, and of course with other trees at different times, it's not my only tree, but just getting to observe that cycle of life and of nature. But as the leaves are changing, they go from that green to that pale yellow, and then that vibrant yellow, and then tipping into that real autumnish orange that we all know. I bet you're even getting a picture in your mind of like some New England foliage shot that you've seen at some point. And then for some leaves, they even tip into that really vibrant red, and then move into like a deep, deep red. And you can observe all of those stages, and not even the links, or not even the all the leaves are all the same at the same time. So meaning like sometimes the leaves are changing and they seem like they're all the same if you're looking from far away, but during those phases when you're close up, they have different variations even just throughout the leaves. And some of them fall, of course, right? They fall down. So you could even pick them up and take a closer look. That's one for me that is always a really powerful one in my imagination that I could go back to if I want, or even from a photo. Anyone who has visited the New England area or is from there, there's this smell in autumn. And it's not pumpkin spice. It's like a burning leaves smell, like a crisp air, burning leaves. It's a very special, unique smell that you smell in fall. And it's pretty much everywhere I've ever been in the greater Boston area. So if you're from there, let us know if you know what that smell is. I'm sure it's other places. And occasionally I'll smell a similar smell here, but it's not quite the same as it is there. So those sensory experiences can be so powerful. And when we're focusing on something like that, 1, we're raising our vibration again. 2, we're giving ourselves space, right? Taking some space from our busy mind to just focus and include these senses. And then our creativity, our imagination ties right in, and then inspiration can start flowing. It might flow in that moment, or it might be later on in the day when you're doing something totally different, but stemming from taking that break to behold beauty. If you're pressed for time, you could set your watch or a timer even for 5 minutes and just give yourself a different focus and take in something beautiful. Okay, trick number 4, the ears hold the crown. So one of the issues with the cycle of feeling uninspired can include this negative self-talk or just general mind chatter that is not helpful. It's really hard to not keep thinking about the subject that you're thinking about. If someone's like, don't think about it anymore. It's like, okay, well, I'm really trying to have a solution to this. So, and we already talked at the top of the episode about how it doesn't help to keep thinking about how we're not inspired or having, being able to brainstorm, for example. So that negative self-talk about it then layers on, or even just that busy mind chatter about it. So when it comes to inspiration, that can show up, as a hollow echo of no ideas in here. I've got nothing. So like, if you're trying to get inspiration, it's almost like this echoing, like, okay, there's nothing there. I'm searching for it. There's nothing there. And it keeps us in a little bit of a vicious cycle, because then that negative self-talk comes back, and then we're searching more for inspiration or creative answers. And then again, we're, not finding anything. So it's a little bit of a vicious cycle. As we all know, we can't listen in two places at once. There have been studies done that, I feel like I can multitask. Many of us feel like we can multitask, but what we're actually doing is quickly switching tasks or quickly switching focus in our brain. So scientists are saying that it is impossible for us to listen in two places at once or focus in two places at once. We need to have that full focus and not be switching activities. So if we're listening even to that inside negative self-talk voice, it's just not helpful, because we need to be able to focus, or be available for inspiration. If we're filling that space with negative talk, that inspiration is not going to be able to flow in. So we need to feed our ears something else to listen to instead. Something wonderful, something delicious. It can look like listening to an interesting podcast, for example. So share this with a friend, or finding a beautiful piece of music to listen to. Sometimes it's great to use headphones, because then you're really blocking out the sound around you. Like if you're watching this on video, the kind of headphones that I have are a little bit noise canceling. So if you have something like that, that's great. It was pretty crazy when I first got these headphones. I did that and I listened to music with them. And it was like, I actually ended up spending like hours just listening to music, because it was so much more crisp than I had been hearing it through the phone. And it really, if you have the over the ear headphones, can block out some of the noise around you. So it can be great to use headphones just because you're blocking out sound around you. But if that's not appropriate for you or where you are or safe, start where you are again. So just let yourself do it however works for you. It could be just through your phone or just through your car speaker, if that's what you've got. And just be yourself and do this one however it works for you. So maybe it's listening to an inspiring journey, like a story of someone else. There used to be the Oprah Super Soul Sunday and Super Soul podcast chats that were my favorite to go to. I don't think they're creating new ones really so much anymore, but once in a while there'll be one that, and it's just the stories are so inspiring, and you can really see yourself in them often, or receive inspiration for them at the very, at the least, or, happy for this other person. So shifting that awareness, that vibration. So I highly recommend listening to her chats if they ever come across, or if you find inspiring souls helpful, because it really goes a long way towards shifting your energy towards receiving that inspiration. So I really like those kind of talks. Sometimes they're interviews, sometimes they're conversations, sometimes they're just one person talking. I've even found some TED Talks that I feel this way about, and those tend to be really short, especially like the TEDx talks. Those are typically, most of them I think are like 15 minutes or less. So they can be quick and be inspiring if you find the right speaker for you. But music is also really helpful without words, right? Or even with words, meaning like not just someone talking to you, but words with music, or even music without words. Any of that will really go a long way towards shifting your energy. So really what's happening is you're setting your energy by what you're listening to. Shout out to my best friend. She listens to Christmas music at any time of the year for a pick-me-up. So if holiday music is your thing and gets you shifted up that ladder of emotion to even like somewhere slightly better, or brings good memories for you, hey, Jingle Bells in July, whatever floats your boat. So that's what I mean. This one can be totally personal and individual based on the music or what you like to listen to that feels positive. But we're going for upbeat, inspired, because we're matching that vibration. I was talking earlier about Abraham Hicks. I sometimes, if I'm feeling just a little lower on that emotional vibrational scale than I'd like to, I sometimes will just put it on their talks or their channeled messages while I'm getting ready or cleaning. Even if I'm not paying attention all the way, something about the energy that they're giving, I can feel my vibration shift by the time I'm done listening to it. So we really are shifting our energetic vibration. And if we're listening to, on the opposite side of this coin, I feel like the last couple of years, there's been so many tough things going on in the world. It seems like more than ever, but maybe it's not more than ever. Maybe I'm just more aware of it. So if we're only looking at those kind of hard things, I do believe it's important to stay informed about current events, and just certainly we have an election coming up in the US very soon. So I think those things are important to keep apprised of and aware of. But if that's all you're feeding yourself with listening to, that really tough topics, really traumatic or tragic things going on in the world, hardships, doom and gloom is what someone recently messaged me that they feel like it is. So if that's all you're taking in into your vibration, that's what you're going to match, and you're going to feel, especially those of you that listen here, you're empaths, you're sensitives, you're intuitives. So you really are going to match that vibration of those people that need help and healing. So it can't just be all that you're feeding to yourself, and it is going to slow down and lower your vibration. It's important to be aware of those things, but don't live there. So music and inspiring talk and inspirational speeches and positive messages, that's what we want to tune our energy to. I challenge you to this one because it's a very subtle shift, but it's that shift of feeling a little bit better. It's a really good kind of a side note to this hack. I actually keep a few different playlists on my phone because sometimes it's hard for me, if I'm on the lower vibrational rungs, it's hard for me to even choose music sometimes when I'm already in that place. So I will, if you're someone who likes to make playlists, or if you have a streaming service that you can do that with, when you're in better moods, just throw some things on your playlist, songs you love, songs that make you want to move, even if they're not your favorite songs, but they make you want to move. I have a playlist, I call it my Uplift Me playlist, because they're songs that, even though sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't feel like listening to the song, the beat of it, the timing of it, the melody of it, it makes me move, and I can't resist these songs. So it's great to have something like that that's like go-to, or a list of podcasts you can listen to, that kind of thing, just to prepare when you have time. But start where you are. Try it first. So number 4 was feed your ears, or, the ears that hold the crown, right? Because what we take in through our ears holds the vibration of our crown chakra, is where I was going with that. Are you ready for number 5? This one is straight from my guides. This is not one of mine. This is not one I came up with. The way they gave it to me was PASS, PASS, those initials, PASS. And they're saying pause to ask your soul self. So this is trick number 5. This suggestion, like I said, is straight from my guides. Pause and ask your soul self, AKA, what would your soul self say? Now, give yourself the opportunity to remember in this moment that you are a soul having a human experience, and that your human personality isn't alone and unsupported. Sometimes we can feel isolated, alone, on our own with things, especially when we're feeling stuck or blocked. Just remember that you're a soul having this human experience. You're not just your personality. You have your higher self, your soul self, like we always talk about. So while you're focusing on beauty and feeding your ears and moving your energy and allowing yourself to be open to guidance and inspiration from your soul self about the steps that are in your highest and greatest good, just remember that you are a soul. And consider, what would your soul self want you to be feeling in this moment? What would your soul self be advising you to do in this moment? And for some of you that are maybe a little more advanced or experienced, this one's going to be a really exciting one. We are always connected to our highest self, our soul self, that soul version of us. The way I like to think of it, this is probably not exactly right, but I like to think of it as our higher self, our highest, creator version of ourself, like live streaming a stream of consciousness through our body that is our soul, but that becomes channeled through our human personality into the world. we're never disconnected from that stream of our soul. When when our physical body becomes no longer streaming the soul, that's when we transition back to non-physical. That's when our soul's no longer in our body, it's back in the spirit world. So if you are in a body right now, you are a soul having a human experience. So really just remembering that connection exists all the time, and that higher self of us is not so dependent on our personality, on our life experience, on our traumas that happened a long time ago, on the hard things that we believe about ourselves, on the negative self-talk. Our soul's not affected by any of that. Our soul has that highest perspective of us. So just shifting your perspective or your thought to what would your soul self be advising you to do in this moment? It certainly wouldn't be negative self-talk or beating yourself up or being hard on yourself. So what would it be? and the answers might come in as so subtle, but try to honor the answers. If it feels negative, that's not from your highest self. That's from your human ego mind. So it should be a positive thing if you're getting an actual action step or information. But even if it's call this person or look up this website or, go walk to the store and come back, what would your soul self want you to do? Because your soul self knows you better than anyone else and can give you the droplet of which of these would be best for you to try first, which of these 5 tricks. So what would your soul self be advising you to do? And for some of you, you already know some of these answers. And again, your soul self truly knows the exact answer that you need, because we're different selves moment by moment even. And even if it's, what am I supposed to make for dinner? Maybe it's that your soul self would want you to have the most nutritious food for you right now. Or maybe it's comfort food, or maybe it's, oh yeah, you know what, we could make grandma's soup and that would feel really comforting and really good. So at least let me try to do that. Maybe another moment, the most nourishing thing would be skip cooking and order pizza for the family and get some rest time and some family time. So if you're asking, what am I supposed to do with my life path? Your soul truly knows the answer, because it knows your soul self knows the blueprint that's within you for your highest good in this lifetime. The most pure and needed expression of your soul through you. Your soul knows the answers to these questions. These are big questions. So don't expect, again, we talked about this earlier, don't expect to get this magical answer that gives you an itinerary for the rest of your life of the choices you're to make. It doesn't work like that. So don't expect that. But your soul knows the blueprint that's within you and knows at any given moment what is in your highest good. So of course your soul self knows your next steps, right? Your soul self has to communicate it to your human self. So that's why it might feel like tiny, tiny breadcrumbs, because our human self, our ego self, or our personality, whatever word you like in there, we have to buy in and do the free will action. So it might be these little breadcrumbs that get us to this big life change. For me, it was as one of the things I can point to is as I was becoming inspired to study psychic studies and mediumship, that came with breadcrumbs for me. I did not just jump into this work. There's no way my soul could have gotten me from where I was to be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely a medium and I'm going to, this is what I'm going to change my life to. I couldn't have made that jump. It was only through, for me personally, and not everyone's the same. We're all different and we're all different at different times in our life. But for me personally, in my human self, the way I am, I needed those baby breadcrumbs over a long period of time to get me where I was going. But my soul definitely knew the whole time that this was a part of me. So your soul definitely knows all the things that are a part of you. And the truth is, if you can get out of your own way long enough, you can receive those next steps because they already belong to you, because this path that your soul's unfolding with you, the things meant for you already belong to you energetically. So of course your soul self knows how to direct you, and this inspiration that you're seeking is already within you. It's just getting out of our own way to receive it. Sometimes there's a journey that comes along with that. So if it's something less consequential, like what do I make for dinner? Well, that might be a lot less breadcrumbs than something that is a big life change, like the career path you want to take. For example, the decision to have kids or not have kids, or those bigger life decisions and inspirations. So just taking a moment and being available while you're doing all of these other things to receive that guidance or inspiration from your soul self. Pause, and ask your soul self. And for those of you that are thinking, or maybe thinking, well, I couldn't just ask my soul to tell me all the answers. That's not what you signed up for. Or couldn't I just ask my soul self to tell me all the answers and I'm going to get all the answers? It's not exactly how it works, because it's not what we signed up for. We signed up for the human experience. And again, that live stream soul connection feels subtle because of this human experience that we're in. It's not a subtle connection, but it feels subtle because we're so focused in the 5 sensory experience in our 3D reality, like we always talk about here. And the part of it is that those connections feel so subtle, and it's why choices often feel so difficult, because we feel like we don't know the other elements and we can't predict the future. That's just not the way it works, because the future is not decided for us yet. So it's unknown because it's undecided. There are potentials, there are possibilities, but it's not like a magical path that's already pre-decided for us. It just doesn't work that way on this side of things. And that brings us to the real hard truth that we so often say, I don't know what to do. But the secret truth is that we do deep down know what to do most of the time. We often don't like the answer, or don't like the options, or the menu of choices available isn't what we think we wanted. But we often see red flags, do know what to do, or what we aren't doing, or what we should be doing or focusing on, including when something or someone isn't good for us. We know. It's why we can say in retrospect, oh, I knew it, or I saw the signs of that, or I saw the flag of that, or, the red flag, or, I did always have a secret desire to explore this or learn this or travel here. We do know. And again, sometimes we just don't like the options that are being presented to us. It's not that we don't know which of the options is better for us. Most of the time, deep inside, we know. It's a really hard truth, but it's true. If you think about the decisions you've made in your life, again, a lot is random, a lot is chaotic, a lot is dependent on other people's free will. But when it comes to us, I'm going to say this. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it. I've left a lot of relationships in my life. There's never been one that I left that much earlier I didn't deep down know that was what I needed to do, and just wasn't ready, didn't like the options, wasn't prepared, and ignored it for some time usually. But deep down, I did know. I wonder if that's true for you. I think it's true for most of us, whether it's a relationship or a job or a season of our life, for example. And this is where continuing personal development and personal growth comes into play. I know we talked about the emotions at the beginning. There are lots of ways to do the emotional side of the work too, but it's important for us to be continuing our emotional processing and our personal growth on a regular basis. Journal, draw, paint, read books, listen to podcasts, learn, take a class, watch a YouTube video, evaluate, explore, get help as needed from therapists, mentors, coaches. And in turn, personal growth and processing emotions is a big part of the key to keeping yourself free of these blocks or feeling constipated in your inspiration or creativity. So I hope that you have enjoyed these 5 tricks, actually my top 5 tricks to use to attract inspiration. Remember, we have to be a vibrational match for something that we are wanting to attract into our experience. So all of these will really help you in tangible ways to shift your vibration, to attract that inspiration that you're seeking for really any topic, any area of life that you're seeking it. And if there's an area that you're seeking guidance in right now or inspiration in right now, and you want to share it, after using some of these tricks or all of these tricks, I would love for you to share your experience and let us know which of these tricks was your favorite, or share a story about how one of these worked for you, or even your own trick or tool or technique that you develop or have had all along that you've been using. I think these kind of little hacks are so powerful and they work so quickly. It's amazing. And really, like I said, start where you are. It could be as simple as, again, popping on some headphones and going for a walk outside around your block, breathing, taking in some nature, seeing what you might see around you. Maybe there's butterflies dancing, some beautiful cloud formations, or even just watching the sunlight as it changes through these different times in the year, just taking in that beauty around you. And in the meantime, while you're moving your physical energy on that walk, you're feeding your ears something inspiring and moving. Maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's this podcast, and then just being, just being, having your heart open and available as your mood and your energy and your dominant emotion shifts. And then you can pause and ask your soul self. It can look as simple as that. So I hope that this has been a helpful episode for you. I'm so curious if you have been feeling uninspired or lack of creativity or motivation or intuition, inspiration, because if that is you, then you are one of the people that Spirit is having me create this episode for. I wish you creativity and inspiration and all wonderful things to come your way as we continue to explore this journey together. Happy autumn, big hugs, lots of love. Bye for now from inside Spirit Speakeasy.